Welcome to Starbound. My name is Aram, and I will be your narrator today. Almost 500 supporters receive early access to our stories, including brand new episodes of Sunspire Academy and Ferran and Remy. If you want to unlock early access and support new episodes and upcoming series, tap join below to become a Starbound member. Now let us begin today's story. Dr. Leo Weber was not supposed to be here. He glanced around the grand assembly hall of the Galactic Diplomatic Summit feeling completely out of place among the many alien representatives. The vast chamber buzzed with the hum of translators and the movement of various limbs as species from every corner of space mingled overhead, sparkling crystal chandeliers scattered. Rainbow light over marble-like surfaces polished to a mirror shine. Leo tugged at his collar. The suit felt tight, an uncomfortable last-minute purchase after his department head had threatened to cut his research funding if he skipped this critical diplomatic event translation be the token human physicist, while real diplomats did the talking. His real job, stand silently in the corner, look smart and keep quiet. A server passed by a tall Olari whose glowing blue patterned skin shimmered, offered him a tray of what might have been appetizers. Leo picked one up cautiously, sniffed it, and slipped it into a napkin. When the server glided away, he was still recovering from the strange delicacy he had tried yesterday, which had tasted like fermented. "Gemstone socks, I need a drink," he muttered, scanning the room for the bar, but instead his eyes landed on a giant stone monolith across the hall. Even from here he could see the complex mathematical symbols carved into its surface. Great another Omari. Relic, they were everywhere now. Ancient objects pulled from the ruins of a vanished civilization that had reached the peak of knowledge and then mysteriously disappeared. The galaxy was obsessed. Leo moved through a group of Threx diplomats there, metallic skin gleaming as the bioluminescent patterns on their faces cycled through shades of anxious yellow and orange. They gave him sharp looks, their six-fingered hands making what he guessed were rude gestures. In Threx language, he finally reached the bar, which thankfully was empty except for a serious-looking bartender with 4 arms. "Whatever you have that will not kill a human," Leo said, taking a seat. "Make it a double," as the bartender mixed his drink. Leo's gaze drifted back to the monolith. A group of Yan scientists were gathered around it, their shadow-black forms gliding smoothly on 4 jointed limbs as they gestured excitedly toward the equation. From here, Leo recognized the outline of the legendary Vithari equation, a math puzzle that had stumped galactic scientists for ages. "Your drink, human," the bartender said, sliding over a glass of amber liquid. Thanks. Leo raised the glass in a sarcastic toast toward the monolith. "Here is to wasting the evening watching aliens debate a problem no one can solve." He took a sip. Not bad, like whiskey with something spicy. He kept staring at the equation. Old habits. Die hard before getting dragged into this political mess. He had been working on a unified field theory. Something in the Vithari symbols was pulling at his thoughts. He mumbled, placing his drink down. The equation was beautiful. He had to admit the Vithari clearly valued mathematical elegance, but something in the final sequence seemed wrong. Leo grabbed a napkin and pulled a pen from his pocket, a habit from grad school. Sometimes you had to reframe the problem to understand it. He copied the equation, translating the alien symbols into familiar terms. It was like translating poetry, not word by word, but by capturing the meaning. "This cannot be right," he said, frowning at the result. The Vithari ended with a recursive loop that would collapse unless Leo's pen moved almost by instinct, adjusting the final sequence with a small transformation. It felt like placing the final puzzle piece into its place. "Click," he said quietly. Circling the result, they had ignored dimensional variance. You cannot use a static frame for a sudden gasp. Beside him made Leo look up, and Omari stood still. Their luminous skin flickering with rapid white flashes, their glowing hair now pure white. What Leo asked, feeling uneasy under the alien's wide gaze, The Omari's trembling hand pointed at the napkin. You solved it. Leo looked down at his scribble this. No, I only corrected a may the cosmos bear witness. The Omari screamed, their voice slicing through the hall. The human has unlocked the Owari truth. The hall went silent. Leo froze, pen still in hand, as every alien eye sensor and limb turned toward. Him I did not. He started, but the Omari grabbed the napkin and held it high. Behold! They shouted, their hair now blazing with light. A Yan scientist moved quickly, taking the napkin from the Omari, its huge reflective eyes scanning the notes. Impossible, it whispered. Yet the room heard the dimensional transform. It is correct, those words unleashed chaos. Diplomats shouted questions. The Threx delegation turned crimson, their panic response visible as they pushed toward the exits, shouting about emergency. Protocols through the noise, Leo spotted an ancient Yan scholar with intricate patterns on their dark skin, staring at the napkin like it was sacred. It is true, the old Yan whispered, their voice shaking after centuries. The final understanding, the scholar's matte skin began glowing, as if something inside them was awakening. Cracks of light appeared and kept spreading. I see it now. They gasped, their bodies shaking, the pattern beneath reality. The truth of everything Leo watched, stunned, as the Yan began to dissolve light, escaping from the cracks in their form. The other aliens stepped back in fear. A human? The fading Yan laughed, their voice now echoing. Of course it would be the cosmic joke-tellers who the rest was lost as the Yan exploded into a column of pure energy, painfully bright and impossibly tall, shooting through the ceiling and beyond. For a moment the light stood there like a pillar connecting the floor to something far above, then with a sound like the universe exhaling. It collapsed inward and disappeared. Where the Yan had stood now, only a scorched mark remained. Silence filled the hall, broken only by the sound of Leo's glass falling and shattering what he said, staring at the empty spot where a living being had just vanished. What just happened? An Omari priest dropped to their knees in front of Leo, their hair flowing with reverent blues and golds. The human has opened the path, the awakening has begun. More Omari followed, kneeling in worship, while the Threx shouted into their comms, their glowing faces strobing in panic. Listen, Leo said, backing away from the Omari. I think you are all mistaken. I just saw a math error, that is it. I did not mean to. A Threx officer pushed through the crowd, weapon drawn. Human, you will now be quarantined. The equation was sealed for a reason. Sealed? Leo repeated, confused. What are you saying? But the officer never got to finish. The floor trembled. A deep quake. The lights flickered, and for a split second, Leo saw something, vast and terrifying, reflected in the shiny floor. Something observing, "Oh no," whispered an Omari priest, their awe turning to fear. Look, it is open, what lock? Leo yelled, grabbing the priest by their shoulders. What did I do? The priest's skin flashed. With terrified indigo of Owari did not leave a puzzle human. They left a warning, a seal, and you just broke it as if to prove the point. The building trembled again. This time more violently. Through the vast windows, Leo watched stars blink out one by one, then reappear as something enormous passed between them and the planet. The eldest awakens, the priest murmured, and it knows who disturbed its rest. Leo stared at the plain napkin that had caused all of this, still clutched in the shaking hand of a Yin scientist. The rushed scribbles and a casual correction, apparently enough to shatter a cosmic barrier placed by Ori millennia. A go well, Leo muttered, reaching over the bar to grab the bottle his drink had come from. I don't suppose anyone would mind if I finish my drink first? No one laughed, and Leo had not expected them to. He poured a new glass, emptied it in one gulp, and turned to face a room full of terrified aliens, so he said, forcing a smile that bared too many teeth. I'm guessing this is going to involve some paperwork outside the stars kept blinking out, moving steadily closer and deep below.